Greg Alba is my name.
Jordan Ross is my name.
Jordan, you're so off of the screen.
I am?
I'm like totally in the screen.
Jordan Ross is my name. There we go.
Hey, buddy. I was watching a video on Jordan's channel, CINEMADDIX movie channel. It was one of his pitch videos of Avengers and X-Men, Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah.
And he actually had this like great idea and even a like great listing of cast.
Yeah. I recast the whole thing.
You recast the whole thing and this like wonderful idea where I was like, I can really see this working actually.
Yeah.
And then it got me wanting to talk about a topic that's kind of been on my mind, which is getting a new Wolverine. He had a choice in his video, which I think is a great choice. Because I know that Wolverine 3 is coming out, and that'll be Hugh Jackman's last performance as Wolverine. However, something tells me that if Marvel was like, hey, we want Wolverine in the Avengers,
he would do it.
I feel like Hugh Jackman would be like, you know what, I'm not retired.
He's been a big proponent of like getting these other properties in the MCU. Before they got Spider-Man, Hugh Jackman was very vocal about, hey, we need to get Spider-Man and Wolverine in the Avengers because they're such big parts of it in the comic books.
And he's insane. Like, studios could totally work it out. He really wants it to happen.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Wolverine, for him to like have his like last hurrah, because Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is going to be one of the hardest things to like replace. We already had heard of Wolverine, and then he comes out as Wolverine, and he's the all-defining Wolverine.
So great.
People like tat him up on his body like the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. It's cool because he had a lot working against him.
Yeah.
He wasn't short and he wasn't buff. If you watch the first X-Men movie, he's kind of just a skinny guy.
He is. I mean, he's like,
strong, but he's not like
there's
who he is now.
It's kind of funny too because you watch the the movies that
1,
take
2,
place
3,
before,
and then Origins, he's buff.
It's like he must have lost a lot of weight and gotten really pale.
Yeah, exactly.
For a while.
So they're gonna get a new Wolverine eventually, whether that be the MCU working with Fox on the X-Men series, or Fox just going, we need a new Wolverine, because they're gonna need one. Here's what I think: if you do a new Wolverine, I don't think you should just continue the movies and cast a new Wolverine.
Yeah.
Don't think you should do that. I feel like we've had three, we're gonna have a third Wolverine now. For sure, Origins Wolverine is the worst out of the X-Men franchise.
Yeah. Oh, by far.
Then you could say X-Men 3, or Apocalypse, depending on your point of view. But for sure, without a doubt, #1 worst movie of the X-Men franchise is Origins Wolverine.
And this is not debatable.
The thing is, though, one is they said it would honor the comics a lot, and then there were complaints because there's several types of origin hints and stuff of Wolverine's past, and some comics dedicated to his origin.
Yeah.
And yet it was still very unsatisfying, very unfulfilling, and a total boredom.
With the cartoon claws.
Oh, dude, I remember watching it in the theaters.
Yeah. Me and my brother were watching it, and we were just laughing throughout the entire movie because it was so bad.
I love how he gets his awesome jacket and motorcycle from an old guy.
Yeah, some old dude, yeah.
My point with that is, I think Wolverine deserves another origin movie.
Yes.
Like, why not?
More than just a quick montage of him fighting in wars. Like, seeing a Wolverine war movie would be really cool.
Taking time on your... Like, I wouldn't be against, like, having its own separate
origin trilogy,
spin-off story.
They wanted to do that with Han Solo.
Been around for a very long time.
Yeah,
you know,
you could do like a Wolverine origin trilogy, like whenever he first became Wolverine, and then like as it goes on, fighting in different wars, meeting the X-Men. Like you could do a really cool trilogy.
And there's other mutants you can include. I feel like that's what the Wolverine showed us that you could do, is still get a cool mutant movie without having it outshine Wolverine, and still keeping it grounded. Okay, I didn't read the comics of X-Men, but I watched the animated series on Fox growing up. And one of my favorite storylines in the animated series, and I don't know if this is accurate to the comic or not, but it was the Lady Deathstrike story of how him and Lady Deathstrike, I forgot her actual name, but they were together before any of them got their like Weapon X shit. So they have that whole history there. And X2 does not even hint at something like that in the past.
No.
Which sucked, because I remember when they said Lady Deathstrike's in it, and I had been like addicted to the show at the time. I was like, oh my god, Wolverine's a past lover. And then there's none of that in there. You could have that in there, and I really feel like that if they're going to get us a new Wolverine, dude, I'm totally gung-ho for a new reboot of the origin tale. Because the origin movie sucked, and we deserve a good origin movie of Wolverine. Why do we have to just go, oh, we tried that already, it doesn't work? It'll help us reintroduce a new guy, too. If we're going to get a new person, don't just throw him in there to be Hugh Jackman's replacement. Yeah. Let's get a new version of Wolverine as well. And you had a great choice.
Like you said, it's going to be a really difficult character to recast, because it's like recasting Iron Man. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. So when they recast it inevitably, or they they could just go with, because I guess in the comics, Iron Man is now a female black teenager.
Okay.
So maybe they'll do that in the future. But either way, it's like
The girl from Precious.
Yeah. And with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, that's someone that's who fans see as Wolverine.
Yeah.
So no matter who they cast, it's like some people are going to be upset. But as I was thinking about it for my pitch for Avengers vs. X-Men, I went through a bunch of different actors, and the only one that I could see and that I think I would enjoy just as much as Hugh Jackman, but could bring his own spin to it, is Tom Hardy. He's shown that he can do action. He's a really good actor. And he, can pull off the chops and everything.
Definitely.
He can buff up like he did when he was
like
Bane,
Bronson,
something like that.
yeah.
You can get or Bronson. He can get really big, and he's short. He's not a very tall.
Yeah.
I think he's like 5'9" or something like
grunt.
that. So yeah, he can grunt. I think he would just be such a great choice to play Wolverine.
Yeah, he would be a great choice, especially in terms of like who's already famous.
Yeah.
But let's remember, when Hugh Jackman came out as Wolverine, no one knew who the fuck Hugh Jackman was.
That's true. He wasn't even the guy that was the
cast,
first choice.
Right?
Yeah,
the guy in MI2 was the guy who was cast.
Yeah,
the villain in that.
Whatever.
Doug something?
Darcy something, or I don't even know. Some
I know Mel
British
Gibson
dude.
was actually highly considered for the role.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would have been interesting.
Watch the other video we
although
did.
I don't think Mel Gibson would have been as committed. Or any
No.
other, because like Hugh Jackman committed to the physical
Yeah,
development.
that's true.
And I just don't feel like Mel Gibson would have been like that into it.
Yeah, that's true. He would have been great, just
He would have been great in
not
the role.
physical part of it.
Yeah, I don't think he would have committed for like 10 years.
We've heard Aaron Paul in some. We
Yeah, I
saw
heard.
that
Yeah,
on some websites.
some
That's
people
weird.
say Aaron Paul. That's a weird choice.
Yeah. Check out my claws, bitch. Taron Egerton, I've heard him, the Kingsman actor. If they went a younger Wolverine, I could see it, but I just picture Wolverine a little more like, not old, but I picture that guy's more
short
of a,
and buff. And what I like to also see from Wolverine is the more martial arts driven Wolverine. The
Yeah.
acrobatic Wolverine.
Yeah, because it's cool seeing the brutal Wolverine.
It's seeing like,
and show that, but
the guy's a skilled martial arts fighter. And he can flip and shit.
Yeah.
And he has like amazing
graceful.
jumping skills and stuff.
Yeah.
He has more powers than he can smell and heal fast.
Yeah.
And, has claws.
Touch on all that a little bit more.
Yeah, like I would like to see them enhance the other aspects of his powers that we don't really get to see. There's one thing that I liked in X-Men: The Last Stand, granted, like as a whole film, not the greatest.
Yeah.
But one thing I liked was that scene in the woods when Wolverine's fighting everyone.
Yeah.
And then he even has that moment where he climbs up the tree and flips
Yeah,
off of the tree and
that was
stabs
cool.
these two guys. Like that
That's
was like
kind of stuff
that's more of the
Wolverine does.
Wolverine I want to see.
Yeah.
I would also like to see an enhancement of his powers, and they've kind of been making Wolverine a little softer.
Yeah.
Lately. I mean, granted, from his cameo in Apocalypse, very rough. The Wolverine, he's the lead, so they had to have a good balance of asshole and guy with a heart, which is Wolverine.
Yeah.
But I want to see like a nasty Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like a fucking
Like scary.
like a scary, gritty, not like a good-looking, sexy Hugh Jackman
Yeah.
Wolverine. Just like this guy is just not appealing to be around.
Yeah. And I feel like Tom Hardy could pull that
Tom
off.
Hardy
Yeah.
wouldn't worry at all about being ugly.
No,
Tom
no.
Hardy would
He's
commit.
okay with that.
Yeah, he's okay
He'd
with
just
it.
be grunting.
He'd
And
just be grunting.
yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see an ugly, acrobatic fighting. Like just give us some more extreme Wolverine and reboot the origin tale for us.
Yes.
This new Wolverine 3, is supposed to wrap up Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Story,
This is old Wolverine.
Old man Logan.
You even got old Xavier and like older Xavier. So this is supposed to be the end of his story. So why not do a reboot? Let's get a better origin movie in there, please, because we want it. And fuck that whole Deadpool shit you guys did, although that panned out well for us many years down the road.
Eventually.
That's the one good thing Origins got us.
Yeah.
Was like a great Deadpool movie eventually. I would like to see like a trilogy, or even like, I don't know, like what if Fox decided to get into like what the MCU does with Netflix.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because the MCU has some great Netflix shows out there.
Yeah.
I love Daredevil, and I love Jessica Jones, and I'm excited for their upcoming Netflix shows. And I feel like Wolverine could totally have his... That would be a great step for Fox, actually. If they don't end up teaming with the MCU... I feel like having your own Wolverine show that is connected to the movies.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have like
That
the
would be
Wolverine
cool.
past show.
Yeah.
But then in the movies you have him in current day.
I like that.
That'd be really neat.
That would be.
That's
a good idea.
That's how it could work, guys.
Well, and like we said, I've heard that Marvel and Fox, that they've had some discussions, apparently. That's the rumor out there on the streets. They've had discussions about the possibility of doing what Marvel did with Sony and Spider-Man, and whether it's, I don't know if they would recast or just cross the universes, come up with a another dimension or something, which would explain, all the differences or whatever. It could happen sooner than we expect.
And as much as I really like your concept, like a lot of people want that, Avengers and X-Men.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want that, and I really think that of a lot of the ideas I've heard, yours is by far the best one I've heard so far of having them cross over. However, there's this other side to me that's really okay with Fox's X-Men universe being separate.
Yeah.
Because it's its own Marvel world in a sense. Because everyone in it is a fucking mutant.
Well, there's so many characters.
There's it's a different world. If you throw in the mutant world and the Avengers world, these heroes aren't as heroic because there's a lot more people wandering the streets with superpowers.
Yeah.
I know like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of covers that a little bit more. But
with
no one really cares about that. Inhumans is the word, So I feel like that with the X-Men world, they do have a cinematic universe here that they could totally, like capitalize on.
Yeah.
Doing a new Wolverine, I think a show would be a great way to, because it's a different format, it's a different origin, so this is a great way to reintroduce a new face. Because let's face it, when we get a new Wolverine, there's gonna be a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
Whoever the fuck he's cast. Whatever. Even if it's Tom Hardy, people are going to be pissed until the actual movie comes out. Anything like that with a big comic book character.
Batman, or with Ben Affleck. Batman.
And then BVS comes out and like he's one of the two things people like.
Yeah, he's like the best part of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Heath Ledger is Joker.
Yeah, Heath Ledger. There's a lot of casting choice. Like even Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. A lot of people didn't like that at first because it's like, oh yeah, that guy that did some movies in the 80s and just got out of rehab. But then when it came out, now no one can picture anyone else playing Iron Man.
Even Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah.
When people heard about who they were casting, this was before the internet was the fucking internet, but when they heard about like Hugh Jackman was cast, people were really like disappointed with it. And Bryan Singer, defending Apocalypse, said like people were pissed at me when I cast, a 6-foot actor to play Wolverine, but look what happened there. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the same response with Apocalypse. That did remind me of that time when people were like, why is this guy Wolverine? It worked out great. And I feel like Fox, don't try to rush anything here.
Yeah, don't do what DC is doing with
like
just
jamming
being stories. Like, we gotta hurry and catch up. Marvel is doing so well because they took their time.
Yeah.
And they may have done it first, but just because they're way ahead doesn't mean
it's
you
not
have
a
to
competition.
It's not a race.
It's not a competition.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. It's just not a race.
Take your time.
Like, you're two separate companies. You're two separate things. Just like eventually down the road you'll make a movie that makes just as much money as the Avengers movie did,
Yeah, like, as long as you take your time and go for quality over quantity. Don't throw as many new characters in as possible.
I don't like it when studios act like movie like, oh, if we don't catch up, people are gonna not like us or forget about us. That's not the case.
No.
We're here to stay.
Well, the thing I love about Marvel, they do these big event films, but then they do these smaller, more intimate ones, like Ant-Man.
Yeah.
That's a very intimate superhero movie. The world isn't in danger. It's, about this one guy and his daughter.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. Doctor Strange looks kind of like that. Like Black Panther, it looks like it's going to be specifically in Wakanda. So, they do these more intimate films, and they work. They're fun because they take their time. They'll have little cameos throughout them, and they build up to the big movies.
Yeah.
DC just jumped right in with big movies.
There's just so many characters to last. The people who run the comic book movie universes of all these films, from X-Men to all the MCU to the DCEU, there's enough films to last, enough characters alone to last until these guys fucking die.
Yeah.
And then they can do more new characters.
Apparently Marvel has like their slate mapped out until like 2030 already.
That's not surprising.
No.
Because they are probably only going to reveal for the next few years.
No.
But of course they probably have.
And by the time they reveal it, they'll have it through like 2050.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
There's just
so many characters, it's never going to end. Have you ever looked at like a fucking
slate, like just a list of all the characters? They'll do Squirrel Girl eventually, I'm sure. Like
it's not just the Marvel universe. It's like you break down the Marvel universe, and you got the Spider-Man universe, and you got every
Fox universe,
every fucking universe. Character has a universe.
Yeah, all their own individual enemies and like sidekicks and allies and like all this stuff. It's exciting. It's an exciting.
I'm actually pretty excited. Yeah, and I hope they do Wolverine.
A lot of people are getting superhero fatigue, but it's like because as long as they're done right, it won't get old. Like like how Marvel does it, they make sure they do it right.
It's just a genre.
And it can go on forever.
It's like saying like I'm sick of all these comedies coming out. It's like comedy's just a genre. Superhero movies a genre.
Yeah. You can be sick of like bad comedies or bad superhero movies. But
to say you're sick of just the genre, is
a
little ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's a fun talk. Hopefully you guys. Who do you think would be a great Wolverine?
Yeah. Comment below.
Anyway, dudes and dudettes and men and women and children and nuns, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the subscription services $20.99 a month to get unlimited access to some of the videos on here. $25.99 a month to get even more access. That's a premium membership.
Yeah.
Jordan, his channel's free, brand
Yes.
new.
Yeah.
It's CINEMADDIX, and it's all movie talk. It's great. Like, this guy clearly he's a movie buff. You're a movie buff. You're gonna like his channel.
Yeah.
Shout
Anything
out
from superheroes to superhero movies to silent movies, everything.
to movies that didn't even get released.
Yes. I actually have a top 10 movies that were never released list that I'm gonna do before
Really?
long. So yeah, he's right.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's intimidating.
Yeah.